So war did occur. War is almost imminent when you are facing enemies that are not willing to communicate, but just want to kill you because of past experience. I don't really want war, but when a colony showed up right beside one of my planets by a known enemy from the past, thinking if they get a toehold in, if they are able to keep it going, make it defensible, make it so they can launch from there into my territory, it's not a good idea to let that happen. So it was destroyed. Over 50,000 people killed. Strategically, a good idea. Morally, a horrible idea. Why should 50,000 people have to die about anything? And who am I to order their deaths? But if you're responsible for a whole empire, and there are other empires who want to eliminate you, you have to be ruthless. You can't think about moral principles when there's a possibility of 100 billion people dying. So what do? You are faced with horrible decisions during war. But if you don't make them and you make the wrong decisions, even worse things happen. And that's the thing with humans, where war is so utterly horrible. People are blowing up. People are getting killed for no reason. People are dying and shooting, and we glorify it. We glorify it in our war movies because we have so much heart around the bond between the brothers who die together and live together. And that's it. For most humans, we get really close to people, especially if they're around us all the time, especially if your life is on the line and you have to depend upon them. So who isn't going to, having horrific PTSD or when these people are killed around you? And you're supposed to go home and you're supposed to deal with it when it's like, this is one of the most horrific things in life, is to have your best friend mutilated in front of your eyes and you can't do anything. You're scared shitless and you're trying to kill these other people that are all getting mutilated. And the stories, the war stories, they never go into the behind the scenes economic reasons and who's pulling the strings to make the war happen. This is all glossed over by the war propaganda, which is continually pushing us to think in terms of enemies and killing and being a hero for your country to defend freedom from those bad guys who are actually just a bunch of people like you who don't want to be there, who are got somehow in the situation where now they're shooting at one another. Go in the world and ask people who here wants to be involved in a war. And almost everyone will say no, because life gets way worse. And if you think about what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, and you're thinking, war? I mean, it's happened so often in the last few years in my lifetime that another war is sort of, but at some point you're going, why is this happening? If you look at some of the other things happening and you go, there's a design behind this. There's a design behind it. And the normal human being like us, we have no say in the matter. And yet we have all the say in the matter, because it is the masses or the populations that have to go to war. And so if no one never goes to war again because the thinking is gone, right now there's a thinking, there's a mindset that came from World War II, that war was what you had to do, and you had to support your nation, and that you had to fight for freedom. And now this mindset, which came through the Korean War and Vietnam War, and it started, Vietnam War, things changed, right? The beginning of TV, the beginning of seeing atrocities on TV, and then all of a sudden the people go, we don't want war. This is insane. You're blowing little kids up. And so the reality is, war has existed, but it's existed because of the tyranny of how the social structures were set up. And then the mentality behind certain groups of people deciding they want to take countries over and they want to, control the banking system, pretty much. If you go behind everything, the mechanism for why there is war is they want to control the central bank. Most of the wars are against countries that control their own central bank, and now they don't. And so, again, there's a design behind these wars that we have to look at. We have to identify. We have to understand it. We have to do something about it. Because unless we do something about it, our planet is going to be under control of psychopaths for the next 7 generations. And guess who let it happen? Or guess who saw it and did nothing about it? Because we fell for the strategies of deception and confusion and divide and conquer. And this is the mental side of this whole equation. And each individual human being has to take responsibility for their mind, for their thinking, for what they believe in. Because you can be anywhere and you can educate yourself now. And if you hang around with the right people, you can learn at a much higher rate. If you're focused on the right things, using tools to expand your consciousness. That's the real game in town. Getting together with like-minded people to have fun, not just dance and music, which is highly important, but to add into that the art of divination, the art of communication using tools to stimulate thinking to come up with new ideas, to stimulate thinking to see how to build a whole new economic system, one where we are in control. Wouldn't that be nice? So to do so, it takes a reformatting of the mind. It takes actual group learning skills to remember how humans can work together in ways that we've lost because certain layers of our culture have been eradicated to make sure that we're very peaceful, docile, easily herded humans. So if you agree with what I'm saying and you have your own plan, let's see how to ally ourselves. If you agree with what I'm saying and you have no plan, Captain Sweep has a plan. It's a very secret plan. And if you want to do something about what's happening on the planet, well, send me a message. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do together.